Well, a very good afternoon on the 25th day of November 25, and it's a glorious day. It's a perfect day, but as you can see I've got a perfect job ahead of me. It's actually 3 o'clock, and the likelihood of getting this all stacked this evening is rather doubtful, Eddie. The problem was that the wood delivery people had me in for a mid-afternoon delivery instead of mid-morning. So in the morning I usually cart it from the main pathway by basket, dump it there, then build it, and I usually have it all built by 2:30ish, 3 o'clock, about now. So I'm rather doubtful I might be working in the dark. But we'll get this area in here stacked out completely. I've got loads of oak, as you know from previously, which is all sitting right along there. And I mentioned when I stacked that, and when was that, September perhaps, I said that it'd be a year to 2 years before I could burn that, so that still stands. But this is a perfectly seasoned hardwood, and it's kiln dried, so it burns really well. Even when it gets damp, it's been dried out so much there's very little moisture in there. Probably less than 10% actually, if that. So that's what you want. So that will get stacked. I need to get it stacked when it's dry, you see. And the other thing is, of course, it's such a beautiful day. I'd rather have been on the mountains, but I can't be everywhere at once, and I'm thinking about this, about the good Lord who is omnipresent. And then I started to think, is it possible for me to be omnipresent, and discover that I can be. So what I do is, when I'm milling around stacking wood, for example, I just consider myself at the top of one of my favourite mountains, and I also think about Genoa, just sitting having breakfast at Genoa. So I'm at the top of the mountain, I'm here stacking wood, and I'm also having breakfast in Genoa, in Italy, all at the same time. So it is possible, and it's great how it works. I put it into practice actually. It works very well. You can have multiple places of visit at the same time. I can be travelling 2 separate different directions on a coach, for example, with 2 different sets of people, chatting on 2 different subjects, all at the same time. But, this pile goes all the way around the corner. I got it delivered on that side of the fence, so I said to the chap, I says, I haven't got time to bloody carry it all the way. Can you dump it on the side of the verge, and the slope there, and I'll chuck it over the fence myself. So that's what he did. It didn't take long, maybe an hour to get this all shucked over. So a decent load. And as I say, I need to get it all stacked right along the whole wall. But what we're going to do, Andy, is we're going to get this lot in here. A little bit of preparation already, just to raise it up slightly. I've had a cup of tea, a very decent cup of tea actually. A really decent cup of tea there, just 5 minutes ago, to go with my cigaretto. A short break, and I shall push on. If need be, I'll bring out my lantern and I'll work in the dark. The stars last night was absolutely phenomenal. I couldn't believe it. I stood with my neck stretched. I got a sore neck today as a result, but my neck was stretched upwards. I wished I was a giraffe. You can get a little bit extra height. But I stood out here, crikey, it must have been midnight. Nearly 1:45, I think, staring at those billions and billions and billions of stars, all glinting. I was actually looking for the new moon. I've had a trouble locating the new moon in the last couple of months actually, in its early stages. But it's because it rises over the southwest, and the trees block the southwest view, so that's probably why. But we're only 4 weeks away from Christmas, can you believe this? And as far as bloody Black Friday is concerned, well, I might actually, so I think I'll stick it in the description box and put the link in from last year about my experiences of Black Friday, racially motivated Friday. I don't know why they've got to call it Black Friday, man. Blue Monday. What else have we got? Blue Monday, I think, is only Black Friday. I think that's about it, isn't it? Terrible Saturday. But I don't think we should linger too much, Andy. I think we need to get moving. But it's a fantastic day for working. I thought about it. I thought absolutely blessed that I would be coming a very calm, frosty type day. Blue skies and full sunshine, not a breath of wind. What a perfect day for gathering and stacking your wood pile. It really is, it's wonderful. Okay, it's 4 o'clock now. It's a gorgeous sunset, eh? And the plane's active because I brought my camera out. It's up there. So anyway, the light's fading, as you can probably tell. It's sundown. But a gorgeous day for anybody outside doing anything, particularly for those in the mountains. So this is all going to be put in here. I'm pleased to say that I've worked really hard in the last hour, and I've stacked all this up in here. So this is completely filled because of a barrier here, so you can't get any more in. And what I'll do is I'll tack on something like this. If there's any sort of wet or snowy conditions, then we can just tap in that and give it a little bit extra cover. I've got some black polythene which I might just slip it on, and just to keep them a wee bit dry if it's prolonged wet weather. Yeah, but because they've been kiln dried, even a bit of dampness on them doesn't make any difference. As soon as they're brought indoors, any moisture will evaporate. Once it goes onto the fire, even better. I've tested a couple, perfect, blazing, so that's good. And so I'm going to crack on and get this corner complete. We're working right to dusk, to twilight, really. But we'll do our best to get this lot cleared and stacked this evening. We'll do our very best at least. Well, good morning on the 26th day of November. Excuse me. As you can see, everything was done yesterday. I actually worked here until twilight. It doesn't look like a lot, but it is. No, it's not bad any. But it's perfectly dry. Well stacked up wood. I'm just going to cover it up before the rain comes, and I'll use that in my leisure. It's a very good burning wood. I tested it last night, so excellent. The rain's not far away, I'm afraid. So I'll get this done just now, so it'll be a very short summary here. This of course is budget day, so most people watch the budget if they do. Not really interested in the impact on inheritance tax or ISAs or anything like that. All they want to know is how much is the price of a pint going up, and will there be any additional excise duty on tobacco and fuel. That's about all most people look at the budget for. There's a lot to do in this garden over the winter, but for the moment, this is it's all going to be built up. Andrew, you said you'd not do any more summarising. Let's get on with our jobs. This is where the wood came down yesterday, so I'm out there just now, just clearing up the debris. That's it's a good practice to leave no trace, like what I do when I'm camping. So it's all very good. I got it done last night, so I was very pleased, and that should keep me going for a little while. So here we are on the 13th of December 25, and who wouldn't have a fire for burning your wood? It's well, I wouldn't have swapped this for the bloody heat pumps for the life of me. And for me at least, I would stop burning solid fuel when they decide to ground all aircraft as a result of potential damage to the upper atmosphere and accelerating the so-called climate change nonsense. No, I think people have been burning fires since Stone Age times. Well, ever since they first made fire. And I wonder who the first person was that invented that. I wonder if they patented their idea, the design for rubbing two bits of wood together or something. I wonder if they got round a few friends and said, look, guess what I've got? What is it? I've got flames. I can cook my food so it's hot, and I can sit and get a heat. What are you talking about? What have you been drinking? No, I'm not joking, you know. I've got something. Come and have a look, I'll show you. And I just passed on from there. I mean, my parents and both sets of grandparents all had coal fires. In fact, when I grew up, the whole damn street had coal fires. Everybody had fires. You went to people's houses at Christmas and New Year, and all gathered around the fire. A great merry time. In fact, one of the things I remember most about home time in the festive period was how loaded the fire always was. It was amazing. My father and I was half pissed, and I can't remember who was the person who was in charge of keeping the coal runs to make sure the fire was always burning merrily for the visitors. I mean, my father and mother didn't drink an awful lot, so when we were young, of course, it was just, but at New Year they made up for it, I think. Not so much my mum, she was always in charge of all the foods and stuff. A great big display of everything. It was amazing, actually. Very fond memories of that. I'd all going to my neighbours and popping around to my other granny and my grandfather serving a little whiskey about the size of a bloody thimble. Well, it was always offered, would you like whiskey or rum? And I used to take rum because I wanted to be a seaman, a sea captain, and I liked to drink the dark rum. Yes, it was very good times, I have to say. But the fire, when this one's got doors, and we didn't have doors in ours. The doors, well, they act two things, it's a sort of safety thing as well as it makes sure the heat goes around the radiators, you see. Oh, heats the water with a click of a switch. You can put this and it heats all the water in the house. Well, actually, the water's bloody roasting as a result. You don't need immersion heater. So I don't understand the logic behind these bloody people who decide that we're far better with heat pumps, which uses more electricity, which is worse for the environment, really, because they have to erect these bloody turbines and thrash about millions of tons of concrete and endless trucks of aggregate moving from quarries to bloody renewable sites, new roads, and all the back and forth with these 4x4s, and it's just utter nonsense. I mean, it's we had coal underneath the bloody soil in Scotland. We didn't have to import coal. This coal comes from, well, there's a coal that they bring in from Colombia, believe it or not. Yes, it's black, not white. But it's horrible stuff. Whereas Scottish coal was mined well, not locally, but 40 miles away, was chucked on the trains and brought to depots, and then the coalman would, stick them in a sack, put them on his horse and cart or his truck later, and deliver it to your house for nothing. Just about. It was absolutely cheap as anything, coal. That's why the people just used to stack it up non-stop. From the minute they got out of their bed in the morning until they went to the bed, well, the last thing they did at night was make sure the fire was pretty low. So, I mean, for me, this is only, it's 10 o'clock, and I've got a couple of hours of hanging around here, perhaps maybe more, I don't know. But that's it's a combination of wood and coal. That's the wood that I've been stacking back in November, and it's wonderful. It really is. It's wonderful. And what I do as well, I always bless the wood. I always bless it to thank the trees, because at the end of their life, when they're fallen over in a storm or whatnot, this is the stuff they can't utilise for anything else, so they make it into firewood for people like me. And so therefore it's a sad end for the tree, but at least it's giving off something. It's giving something in return. This is why I speak to the trees and thank them for the beauty, the presence, and the lifetime of wisdom that they gather and can offer. If you sit close to a tree for long enough, it will pass on that wisdom to you. Yes, and by burning the wood, the ash from the wood, I mean not ash wood, but the ashes from the burnt wood can be used on the ground as a fertilizer. Nothing's wasted. But you sip your bloody heat pump. Once it goes below -5 degrees, it's struggling for these heat pumps to work. If you get a cold winter, -10 or -12, these things are buggered, and everybody's without heat. And we'll close the doors, Annie. The heat's quite intense, it is. Of course, I put my tree up. I done a little segment about my tree. I put it up on Thursday, actually. I was absolutely delighted with it. It really was. But, there's you, the bottoms again, Andy. Crikey, you've not said bottom all year. Oh, I don't think you said it for 6 or 7 months now. Now you're back saying bottom. No. You better knock that in the head, sir. What was I talking about? Yes, renewables. Well, Stone Age man didn't come to his friends and say, look what I've got. What is it? I've got a thing. I've strapped 3 sticks together into a star shape, and I've turned it and turned it and turned it. And what's happening? Nothing. What's the point of that? Well, I'm waiting for the wind to blow, and then something might happen with it. I mean, I waited a long damn time for the wind to blow in this neck of the wood. No, what I mean by that is, most times I pass these turbines, particularly in Glencockle, because I'm not there often. They're always stationary, they're always sitting there, doing nothing. And of course, I have mentioned before, but they're paid millions and millions of pounds every month, across the board, when there's no wind to turn the turbines. They get compensated, so the quids are in. And this is why so many of the private estates and the landowners and aristocracy and farmers are all switching to renewables, because they're getting money for it, with no thought of what they're doing to a beautiful land. They couldn't care less. They're greedy bastards, that's what they are. They really are. They're just pure greed. And anyway, there's my fire. And as I say, I think that when you stack the wood on an autumn day, and when you sit down here where there's a howling gale outside and the rain's bashing against the window, there's nothing better just listening to the flames. And when the lights all conk out, when there's no electricity left in the system, I just light a candle and pop it up there, and it's a very, very beautiful atmosphere with the candle and the fire.